Who's there?
Hello, welcome back to YCFT. We're talking about some zombies today, which we don't usually talk about zombie movies.
No.
It's not your favourite genre,
Nope.
is it?
Nope.
We're talking about 1985's The Return of the Living Dead, directed by Dan O'Bannon, who previously written Alien, based on... Now, this is... How the film came about is almost just as interesting as the film itself.
Yeah.
So it's based on a book written by John A. Russo. I've got his name right there, haven't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just call him John Russo. John A. Russo was also the co-writer of Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Was he directed by...
George A. Romero.
Wow, it's been a long day. Sorry, it's a really warm day here in the UK.
Our brains are slightly
My brains
frazzled.
are slightly frazzled. Oh my god. I forgot the name of the original movie.
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. Right. Yeah, he was a co-writer on Night of the Living Dead, directed by... Oh my god.
George A. Romero.
I'm keeping this in as well. George A. Romero. The god of zombies.
Yes.
They couldn't agree on what direction they wanted to take the sequels in.
Yeah.
So they actually fairly amicably just
parted ways
and split it. So Romero would go off and make the Dead series, so Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and John would have the rights to Living Dead.
Yes.
So he initially pitched it around, and studios kind of weren't really interested because they wanted Romero. They wanted It's kind of a shame that Romero kind of got a lot of the fame of it because he was the director as well, and he was very much the face of it. So you couldn't really shop it around. So he published it as a book instead, and the rights to the book got bought, and that's what got turned into a film. And I believe because even they injected a lot of the 80s isms and the comedy into this film because the book is very cynical.
Yeah.
Like a lot of zombie stuff. But I think he then did do a novelization of the film as well, which added a lot of those elements into it. And it is really interesting because they also saw Romero try and produce this one, but apparently he just wouldn't answer them. Probably because Day of the Dead was due to come out around the same time.
Yeah.
It already makes this film very interesting.
Yeah.
So in this world, Night of the Living Dead did happen, but it's a movie. A movie based on real events that are slightly different and that have been tweaked. It's very meta.
Yeah.
Apparently Dan O'Bannon wasn't the easiest person to work with. We have
doesn't sound
mixed
like
reports. A lot of
easiest
people
guy.
really enjoyed working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry wasn't the easiest guy. Which is a shame.
It is.
But also at the same time I think he was more like young, inexperienced, but passionate.
Yeah. And
not necessarily a people person.
Not necessarily a people person. But, I mean, it has to be said, this movie is a masterpiece.
For both of us, this was the first time we've seen it this year, and we watched it twice this year.
Absolutely adore it. I had to, again, zombies, not, my personal favourite horror movie. So there was a bit of persuasion, I guess, to try and watch it. Because had you seen it before?
No, I hadn't. I'd seen it referenced a lot in almost every horror documentary that talks about the 80s has to refer to this film at some point.
I was aware
I knew Tarman.
of it. I was aware of Tarman as well. But again, it was it's a zombie movie. I don't know how I feel about it. And fell in love with it. Absolutely. This movie is not even maybe my favourite zombie movie. Well, actually, it is my favourite zombie movie. Shaun of the Dead is now demoted to second place. But it's up there as one of my favourite horrors now. I think this movie is fantastic.
It's absolutely fantastic. So the basic plot is basically a company that deals in corpses and skeletons for they sell
medical supplies.
They sell them off to universities, colleges and stuff like that.
Two employees.
One played by Tom Matthews.
Yeah, he's called Freddy.
He obviously he played Tommy Jarvis in Friends.
One of the Tommy Jarvises.
The third Tommy Jarvis in Jason Lives. He is on his first shift and he's been shown the ropes by his co-worker who is...
Frank. Frank is played by James Caron.
Those two are the heart and soul of this movie.
Oh, they're so good. Yeah, they actually are.
So he's showing him the ropes and that's when he kind of tells him, because he's like, what's the weirdest thing that's ever come in here?
Yeah.
And he says at one point they got a delivery.
Yes.
That wasn't supposed to go to them. The army messed up.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the story that the original movie was a movie in that world based on real events, but they tweaked the ending.
Yeah.
There was a chemical spill and all that stuff kind of leaked down into the morgue and it made all the dead bodies kind of jump around as though it was alive. And they told the guy who made the movie that if he told the true story, they'd just sue his ass off. So he changed all the facts around.
So what really happened?
So he goes and shows them. He shows them these canisters, opens up, and you see a zombie, like a body,
of toxic gas.
yeah, with zombie bodies in them,
Yeah.
like decomposed but kind of preserved. So they tap them, and it bursts, and they get covered in
It's released.
this gas and releases
Breathe it
into the
in.
building. And something I really like about this film is there's a scaling to it, because by the time they wake up, the body is gone.
Yeah, they
And that
assume
is
it's
what
just
eventually
dissolved.
That's what eventually becomes Tarman.
Yeah.
And you see the face melt on almost like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. And so we don't see Tarman for a while though, but first we just have a singular body which they had on ice that is resurrected and is screaming. This film, it popularized a lot. I'm going to go into some things that popularized a bit later, but initially the first time zombies ran and it popularized them speaking.
Yes.
Another important thing, like I say, we'll talk about that later. So they try to take on, they lock it in, they call their boss, played by...
Well, the boss is called Bert, but he's played by a guy called Clu Gulliger. Gulliger.
Originally this was offered to Leslie Nielsen, but I think he wanted too much money to
I
do
can
it.
see
I
Leslie
could see
Nielsen
him,
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, he really enjoyed working on this, but I don't think he was also the easiest
Bert.
to work with.
I think Clu Gallagher, the actor, I think he clashed with O'Bannon the most.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of friction.
Because I think
there.
at one point when he's fighting off zombies with a pipe, they gave him a rubber one because
they just didn't trust him.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So he comes into the mix, trying to obviously help them deal with this, and they're like, well, what do the movies say? It's like, destroy the brain, so they do, and it doesn't kill them.
It's like, you say the movie lied.
There's the main... Tony Gardner, who worked on the Chucky films, worked on one particular part of this, because they have a lot of half dogs for like...
medical reasons.
For medical reasons, you can see the inner
know.
workings of dogs kind of preserved, and that dogs are like alive and moving.
It's in pain. Yeah.
So they chop up the body,
Mm-hmm.
and they take it next door to the mortician. The mortician is probably like the best character in this as well.
Ernie, the mortician.
Ernie the mortician. We found out after the fact, and watching it the second time with this knowledge, is he's meant to be a Nazi in hiding.
Yeah, he's an escaped Nazi.
He's listening to like basically German marching music on his Walkman. There's a picture of Eva Braun
on his wall.
Like Hitler's lover on his wall.
Just on his wall.
And when you know, like, this was revealed in DVD commentary, when you know, it does kind of make you think, like, how much am I supposed to support this character? But it just makes him so much more complex.
Yeah, he also has a Luger, right?
Yeah, which traditionally was a pistol given to German officers.
So, I mean, we'll elaborate. I mean, we're going to talk about a lot of these characters in depth, but I mean, Ernie, he was always my favourite. The first time we watched it, I didn't know about the Nazi thing, and he was my favourite character, like, bar none. I absolutely adored him. Now I know he is an ex-Nazi. Like, it's not a theory. Like, it's actually, it's confirmed. And especially, once you see the picture of Eva Braun on his wall, it's like, well, there's literally, like, no hiding it now. He's still my favourite character. I don't know how I feel about that. But he's still my favourite.
It's strange. So he agrees to help them. They initially try to hide, say, they're squirrels or something like that, or...
I think they say, like, the raccoons or something, like rabid raccoons.
Rabid raccoons, and eventually he realises that all the body parts are still moving independently, so he puts them in the furnace to burn them.
Yes.
They want nothing left, but that releases the toxin, the gas, into the atmosphere. It rains down into the cemetery.
Yeah.
And while all this is going on, we have a lot of Freddy's friends, like his girlfriend and all his punk friends, we're basically just waiting for him to get off work, and they're kind of partying in the cemetery. Such a great cast of characters. They're so
they are
unique. And there's another Friday the 13th alumni there. Miguel Nunez?
Miguel A. Nunez Jr. plays Spider.
Demon from Friday the 13th Part 5.
Who we love. We love that man.
He was homeless before he got this role, because both of those films came out this year. And I love him whenever I see him in things. I think he's got a great screen presence.
Oh, he does.
He's funny. He's great with physical comedy.
He's a hero in this as well.
Yeah, he's a hero. He's a hero in this. So I was really happy to see him in this. Do Friday the 13th alumni.
Yeah.
They're all like such an interesting collection of look into like 80s punk rebellion.
Rockers. Yeah.
He's got Scuzz, who's like covered in chains. He's like, do you think I wear this as a costume? It's a way of life. It's a statement.
Yeah.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
So the rain basically resurrects everything in the cemetery.
Yeah.
So then we have lots of zombies, and I love that sense of scale throughout the movie.
Oh yeah, it's building and it's building. This is also set over the course of one night as well, which, most zombie films are. The ones I've seen anyway are. It's like, or, a short amount of time. But yeah, it's like, it's steadily building and like it's getting worse and worse.
It's very rare that you see in the movie the cause of the the cause of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting character played by
Linnea Quigley.
Linnea Quigley.
Yeah.
Who
horror icon.
She is, because I recognised her. I think
you recognise what part of
I
it?
speak to that. I recognise it because I recognised her boobs.
From
Silent Night, Deadly Night. She was the one that gets impaled on the antlers. Well, actually, I recognised her. And as a joke, I said, I recognise those boobs.
Yes.
Because for some reason, her character just likes to strip down naked and dance.
In a graveyard.
Hey, what's wrong with you, man? Show some fucking respect for the dead, will you?
Which leads to like a really weird bit of trivia.
Yeah.
Because she is like fully naked.
Yes.
Do you want to take this one away?
Okay. So her character's called Trash, and there's a scene where all the punk rockers are in the graveyard, and she's just in the mood to like start stripping off, and she starts dancing, and she is fully naked. And anyway, they were doing the scene, they were filming the scene, and I guess one of the producers, he came on set that day, and he instantly was like, no, we can't have Linnea Quigley fully naked. Here's what we'll do. Or at least, like, the issue was we can't have full bush on display. We just can't do that.
Specifically, it was for showing it on TV, so you can't show pubes on TV.
We can't show Linnea's pubes. So how about we shave off the pubes, and that'll make it okay. And then there was a further fiasco, because then you've just got Linnea Quigley's full frontal vagina just on display. Apparently, like, the weird way of thinking was shaving off the pubes to make more of her genitals on display would be better.
Well, she said that...
Weird, twisted logic
She
there.
didn't mind doing the scene. I think she was really open for it. But she said that was kind of the most embarrassing part of it, is having to be shaved.
Yeah.
But then it's like, what did the producer expect? Did he expect it, like, there would just be smooth like a Barbie doll, that it opens up like an alien egg?
It's so weird.
You know, when...
It's like, surely it's just common sense. If you shave off the hair, more of the body is going to be on display. It didn't make any sense.
So I think they essentially made a prosthetic to go over
her, yeah.
Hide it away.
Which,
and it's like,
in hindsight, is what they should have done in the first place. I don't really understand it. But anyway, it leads on to this other interesting thing of the producers gave her a nude scene because they just assumed that the majority of their audience, the demographic, would be young men wanting to go and see a zombie film. They didn't account for how many women were going to go and see this film. Horror has always been popular with the ladies.
Yeah.
And he did say, like, if we'd have known that back then, we would have had a lot more male nude scenes.
The director, Dan O'Bannon, he specifically, he's like, if I'd known, I would have made Tom Matthews strip off as well.
And I'm assuming that Tom Matthews would have been okay with that.
I reckon he would have
I'd like to think that Dan O'Bannon wouldn't have just made him strip.
He pierced his ear for this film because the character had one before realising he could have just had a clip on. Like, I think he was up for anything.
I'd like to... He's great in this, actually,
he's
Tom
better
Matthews.
than this than he is as Tommy Jarvis. And I do like his Tommy.
Well, there's more to do in this. Yeah, he's very good.
And there's so much about this movie that you realise it's changed so
Changed the
much.
Zombie subgenre.
The zombie, like... there is a lot of comedy in it, like a lot of dark comedy, but I love that the zombies talk. And there's a couple of great running jokes in it, like when the paramedics come because Freddie and Frank are getting very ill throughout this. They send some paramedics, the paramedics get eaten, and the zombie goes, send more paramedics.
Baxter, you copy over?
I'm in dispatch. Send more paramedics.
Later on, after 2 sets of paramedics are dead, cops come in.
Send more
When they just get pounced on.
Yeah,
it's even like Tarman's like you burst out laughing because you're brain.
Yeah,
and then he turns, they're like petrified. He's like, more brain.
It's like he's killed this one guy, and then more of the teenagers come in, and it's like he's almost starting. He's like, more brains. It's like when his eyes just kind of like shoot up, almost like Spider-Man, the buggy eye.
A big part of this film is that the zombies don't die.
No, nothing takes them down. Bullet to the head isn't going to do it in this one.
And the point that I was going to mention earlier, this is the film that popularised zombies not actually after flesh, eating brains.
Yeah.
They capture one at one point, a half zombie who's like on a table, and they essentially interrogate him. It's like, why?
Lady zombie.
The lady zombie. And it's like, it hurts to be dead.
It hurts to be dead.
I can feel myself rot.
Eating brains. How does that make you feel?
It makes the pain go away.
And that's why when you look at him as a Nazi,
Oh.
the look he has when he kind of realizes that the dead feel pain, it adds so much more depth and meaning to that moment.
Yeah. This film, like, there's an absurdity to the humour in it. You know, like, it's laugh out loud hilarious in some moments, but, like, in typical zombie fashion, like, it is ultimately quite bleak, and it deals with a lot of, like, really kind of dark themes, and very uniquely it proposes this idea that the dead feel pain, and in a lot of different ways it does explore this thing of like the agony of being dead.
I feel myself.
Oh, it's good. It's that I can feel myself rotting. And apparently eating brains is what makes the pain go away. So they don't crave flesh. It's like they need it to just quell literally the agony of being dead. And yeah, it's like Ernie, when he hears this and he's visibly kind of shaken, and he actually says, he's like, it hurts to be dead. It's, that sudden realization of like being dead does not give you peace necessarily.
Yeah. Also,
but
he's sorry, just realize that. Do you want to finish that up?
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's like the irony as well that the Nazi is like suddenly feeling very guilty, but it's also that scene earlier where he thinks that there are raccoons in the bags, and Frank is like, oh, we gotta kill these raccoons, and he's like, we can't burn them alive, that's cruel. Coming from the ex-Nazi.
Yeah, but also it's like he's a mortician. He spends his career chopping, taking things out of dead bodies, and he's like,
yeah,
I love that element to it, but it's also like you are in an unwinnable position. Literally destroying one zombie is what has led to all these zombies being here, and you can't like shoot them. It's brought up. It's like, oh, that's how it worked in the movie. It's like, well, this isn't a movie.
It's not. Yeah, the movie's lied. Yeah, I love that.
For me, there's like 3 main character zombies.
Yeah.
You have like the half zombie on the table. You have Tarman. I love it whenever Tarman shows up. He looks incredible.
Yeah, he's great.
And, well, Trash becomes a zombie.
Trash does. Yeah, she's killed in the one way that is like her worst.
Yeah, she
death.
says earlier in the film that she has a nightmare her way to die is to be torn apart by
a lot of old men.
And that is basically what happens. And she comes back as a zombie, but she's also just butt naked. And she kind of looks like because she's got like buzz-cut red hair.
Yeah.
She looks like the bad guy from the end of Ghostbusters.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
So she's just like fully naked in zombie mode, and that's just something so 80s about that. So you have like a lot of like very distinguished zombie characters.
Yeah, they all stand out, and also just on like the agony of death, the pain of death. There's like this ongoing subplot in a way, or like sequence of Frank and Freddy slowly dying.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're the two that accidentally released the gas in the first place, and they breathed it in, so they got the full whack of it, and slowly throughout the course of the movie they are physically deteriorating. Like they're cold, they're shivery, it feels like they've got the flu, they're vomiting. And it gets to the point where they have to, Ernie and Frank, like they ring the paramedics and they just say, oh, we think our friends have been poisoned. And the paramedics are checking their pulse and they're checking everything, the body temperature. And technically, these guys are dead. Like, none of their bodies are functioning in the way like a normal person is. And then it escalates even more. And there's this horrible moment where Freddy says, like, he can feel, like, his muscles, like, I can't remember exactly what he says, but, like, contracting or seizing up or something. And then Ernie, the mortician, like, okay, well, let's check this. And he's got all this bruising on the back of his back, and on the back of his back. And Ernie's like, looks a lot like you're going through rigor mortis right now. And it's just, again, the concept of Frank and Freddy are going through the agony of death while still being conscious about it. Like, they're experiencing the pain of their bodies, like, physically expiring but being so aware of it. And there's just something so... I've never seen that before in a film. I don't think I have, or like at least not played out as long as it is.
Yeah.
Like it's actually cruel.
It is, and they are, like I said, they are the heart and soul of this, because you can't help but just feel sad for them. It's like it was an accident. What happened? They're not nasty characters.
No, they're good guys. It's like, and it's really heartbreaking. And obviously, like Freddie's girlfriend is there, Tina, and she's just like, she doesn't know what to do. She can't stop the pain, and she's just there holding him. And obviously, like when they're told, like you guys are technically dead or like you're dying. They're just screaming in the physical pain, but also just like, imagine just being told that as well, like, you're dead. You're literally dead. We don't know what to do with you.
And that obviously becomes part of the conversation. What happens when they go?
Yeah, exactly.
And this film is, I'd say it's a masterpiece.
I agree. It's so interesting to watch. Like every single facet of it is really interesting, and all the characters are great. Like they're all entertaining in their own way. There are some that like hold my attention a lot more than others. Don't
we
get
have
me
a couple
wrong.
of side characters who we don't really spend a ton of time with.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
because there's so many characters.
Yeah, and also just like the morality of, you know, like what would you do if you were in this situation, you know? And like Frank, bless him, when he realizes what's going on, just to stop the pain, like he cremates himself.
Yeah.
Takes off his wedding ring and he kisses it, and you know, like that's a really sad scene. We also get a scene later on with Ernie, the ex-Nazi, and he's up in the attic with Tina, and Freddie at this point is turned into a zombie.
Burnt his eyes, but you can see Ernie like getting out his Luger, and he's ready to like do the decent thing. You know, like I would also rather take a bullet to the head than be eaten alive by a zombie any day. Especially since The Walking Dead, we're all used to like not being afraid of zombies because we see them get taken out.
Yeah.
Because usually it's like destroy the brain.
Yeah.
Like remove the head or destroy the brain.
Yeah.
But in this, they are literally unstoppable killing machines.
Yes.
Who can think, they can plan.
Yes.
How do you beat someone like that? And ultimately, they don't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
this film is still just, the ending is still just as bleak as any other.
Oh.
But usually, there's usually like a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
There's not in this film.
No, I mean, like the ending is the bleakest thing of all.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you think there's a glimmer of hope, like the characters, they can hear the sirens, they can hear a helicopter, and they think that they're safe. Obviously, the military has gotten wind of what's going on and have kind of been expecting this all along. You know, like the gas would be released.
Easter eggs, don't they? I can't confirm this, but in Call of Duty Zombies, back in the day, the storyline wasn't a narrative that would just play out when you played the game. You had to go and find things, and they were called, the main plotline was called an Easter egg.
Really?
And I wonder if that comes from
maybe
this movie.
Maybe.
So yeah, 'cause it's not something that's like the characters seek out. It's something that happens.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Maybe. But the movie ends where they're all fucking nuked.
Yeah.
The military just decide to destroy the town.
And it's the radioactive. It's like, oh, they're only a few thousand dead. You know, not that many casualties. They're a bit of a mess, but the rain will wash it away, and you realize, oh, they've fucked it.
They've absolutely fucked it.
Absolutely fucked it. Again, I love seeing like the police set a barricade because they have no idea what's going on. You see like zombie trash just running at them.
Oh yeah, I know.
She runs so elegantly for a zombie.
She does.
She must be an absolute trooper because it's raining through so much of this as well, and she's obviously naked other than that.
I know.
The crotch piece.
I know. It's like I think I've only seen 2 films with Linnea in, because she was in a Nightmare movie as well, wasn't she? But I've not seen
in
it.
a minor role, like she plays like a face coming out of Freddy, so it's not like a main character.
Yeah.
But she has had like a pretty long career.
Again, fair play to her. It would have been nice to have seen Tom Matthews naked as well. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, we have Linnea Quigley.
Well, the weird thing is, I know because this film has like 4 sequels or something like that, and Tom and Frank.
Freddie and Frank.
I said Tom and Frank. Freddie and Frank are the main characters in the sequel.
That blows my mind. I don't know how.
I imagine, again, we've not seen that one. I imagine it's a case of the studio saw the reaction to those characters and like, they have to be the main characters, and it's like, well, we'll see. We'll find out. We'll probably do a video on that someday.
We will. But
this is one of those films I've been intending to watch for a very long time, and I'm so glad that I have, because I adore. It's hard to get a copy of the Blu-ray though. That's not stupidly expensive. So I really hope at some point they do like a nice new special edition that I can have.
I'm hoping so. I would love the score because
gore.
I know a lot of people make much of the soundtrack, which is cool. You know, like it's got a lot of 80s classic rock songs on there and bands, but the score itself, like, I think it's Matt Clifford, and we first hear it as soon as Frank kicks the drum and releases the gas, and
We get the title card.
and we get the title card, but there's like that 80s like it's oh,
Like, kind of builds like
I love it.
It's really good.
Love
Everything
it.
about this film is just
Yeah,
it's just good.
I get yeah. I think it's actually brilliant.
Yeah. If you've got Amazon Prime, it's free on there with
Yeah.
Freevee. So yeah, you've got to watch it with adverts.
Yeah,
But it's watch it.
yeah,
We thought that the certain things like when characters come out and start like hitting zombies, think, oh, this must have inspired Shaun of the Dead. But apparently Edgar Wright's not a fan of this film, but it's definitely inspired it in some way.
it surprised me because there's a scene in the movie I can't quite place exactly where it is, but
They're
the
trying to escape the
characters.
mortuary.
Yeah, and they've got like a bat, and then they're taking out the zombies one by one over the head, and it's just like, you know, that scene in Shaun of the Dead where they leave Liz's apartment, and he's got the bat, and he's just taking them out one by one, trying to get to the car, and I was like, oh, like Edgar Wright definitely stole that from Return of the Living Dead. He could have still done it.
Yeah,
but
I think he prefers Dawn of the Dead over this one.
I saw an interview recently where Edgar was like, he doesn't care for this movie. He said he enjoys the first half, but he doesn't enjoy the second half. So it surprised me, but there we go. But you know, even if you don't like a movie, it can still maybe subconsciously, you know, like exist.
Oh yeah, like
you know,
whether you like it, like I can imagine a lot of people might not like the ending because it is even more bleak than
it's
they usually are.
depressing. Yeah,
But it's a very enjoyable movie up until that point. It's very unique for a zombie movie.
yeah,
I don't think any sequels are as beloved as this one is. And I think it did pretty well when it came out, especially considering it was going up against another very big zombie movie. 85 was a very busy year for good movies.
yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's hard to stand out.
It's rated very high though.
I know it has a massive cult following.
I'm really not surprised. I think the last time we watched it, I still loved it, but it kind of struck me just actually how tragic it is. I think the first time I watched it, I was just kind of like blown away by what I was seeing, and then the second time, like the emotionality of it really kind
It
of
sank
kicked
in a bit.
I was like, oh my god, like this is actually horrible. Yeah, this is actually it's unpleasant in certain scenes. But I really do love all the characters, and that's quite rare. And it's just strikes that right balance of comedy, absurdity, and tragedy. If you know, for a zombie movie. So yeah, this is really high up there as a horror film. I really, really, really recommend it.
You got any more notes?
No. I don't think so. Just it's a good film.
Well, thanks for stopping by, guys. Is it? Check it out. So we're in November now, but still spooky season.
It's still spooky season.
If you're not quite over, you know, watching horror movies for Halloween, maybe check this one out.
Yeah. Stay away from gas canisters.
Yeah, stay away from strange military gas canisters.
And don't dance naked in graveyards.
Yeah,
Show some respect for the dead.
Oh, God, that's a line it is,
Yeah.
because she tries to make a move on Skills
Yeah,
I think
she's
is
trying to
some
have sex
respect
with
for the
him.
dead.
Show some respect for the dead. Yeah.
It's alright, the dead get their revenge.
Oh, they do.
So, thanks guys, we'll see you next week.